This is not just another golf podcast. This is Golf Underground. This is Golf Underground. We just happen to be the third funniest podcast in golf. Anyway, we interview PGA Tour pros, Hall of Fame athletes, rock stars, business leaders. Sure, we talk about golf, but we have fun. All right, let's do it. Welcome to Golf Underground. Now your hosts, Wardo, Sully, and MLB Hall of Famer, George Brett.
Thanks for joining the Golf Underground. Now, the Golf Underground is brought to you by Star Companies, KC. Experience a more energy-efficient and comfortable home with Star's insulation services. Regal Distributing, specializing in the distribution of food service and professional cleaning supplies to a variety of industries. Cowell Insurance, providing brokerage and risk management services for over 25 years. Sono Orthopedics, care plans backed by research and clinical results tailored perfectly to individual needs. Bob Sight Ford and Bob Sight Independence Kia, where you'll score a double eagle on your next car or truck. Lewisburg Ford, nobody sells more F-150s than Lewisburg Ford. And Celebrity Greens, put a custom PGA caliber putting green in your backyard for the ultimate golf experience. Now, onto the program.
Hey, welcome to Golf Underground. Back at the stable with some of the new air purification systems.
Yep.
We save lives.
If we get locked in here, Sully will be dialed in with in this ball with the air. So,
Do you think Turtle would ever just lock you in here like that?
she may. She would consider it, I think.
Especially
if I don't do my good chores.
Hey, have you been a good husband?
Yesterday I was pretty good. I was kind of dad of the year. I wanted to take him, little guy, around, and he's 9 months now. And the new thing is he crawls up. He's now crawling, and now he's crawling up onto the dishwasher when it's down. So that's his little hours. So he hasn't broken it yet.
I said, you said, you've been a good husband. He goes, yesterday I left. He's getting a snappy spotter over here. I was like, oh, wait, we got to work on his hands. Yeah.
Yesterday I was good. This place has been a little consuming as of late, so it's been long hours, but everything's good. We got her back in here helping out earlier today, so that was good.
Oh, was she back?
Yeah, she was teaching.
She was teaching her stretching and all that stuff? Good.
She was teaching. So she ran all 3 classes today and dialed it in.
Wow.
Nice.
What time does she teach? I might have to come and take a lesson tomorrow.
Got here at 5:15.
I'm not going to be on that one. Brent, you going to make that one?
She got here at 5:15 and left it.
So wait a second. She got here at 5:15. What'd you do with your baby?
5:30. Mickey came over for a couple hours this morning.
Oh, okay.
So, things are busy.
Hey, how was the Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame was outstanding. Had a wonderful time. Won the golf tournament. Me and my son Jackson and John Sherholtz, our old general manager, and Little John. Little John shot 69, and which is always good as a 2 handicap. Mm-hmm. Jackson, my son, had 6 shots. Those 6 holes, he had 5 pars and a birdie, which helps in your 2 best ball.
Yeah.
And I shot a little 74.
Whoa!
So we did good. And Big John Sherholtz shot probably about 120. But he did par 2 shots with strokes. Wow. So it was good. We ended up winning.
That's low 70s. You've been playing good.
I played that course enough where I understand it now.
Yeah.
It's a really tough course to putt. And but I know now everything breaks away from the hill and to the lake. So I'm playing
so well. I'm going to give up my spot in the Mission Hills Club Championship.
Yeah.
So you can now win another one. What do you think?
I think I should try to play in the qualifier and get in.
Yeah, you should do that. Why didn't you do the qualifier?
Well, I was out of town last year.
Well, hopefully the dates work out. I think you should.
Did you win last year, didn't you?
I did.
When is the dinner?
I haven't heard anything about it.
Did you pick the dates?
And I bring the wine.
Yes.
Is it like the Masters? You get to pick the menu too.
Yes.
You get
tell Trent the story.
Thanks to me, but I won the club championship in 16, I think it was, and it was the biggest farce in golf history. I mean, the Golf Channel should have done a story. They should have filmed the whole thing. I mean, it was unbelievable. And so I ended up winning the club championship, and I go to the pro and I said, hey, so I've seen these other clubs. So you get a parking spot reserved for club champion? So they made one up and they stuck it way as far away from you can. So that way away from the pro shop as possible.
George a lesson. Yeah. We're going to put him in parking spot. We're going to put it way over there.
Yeah. So then I said, hey, do we have a champions dinner? And he says, well, that's a good idea. I said, do you have jackets? Club champion jackets. God, that's a good idea. So now we have jackets. We have a champions dinner. So I hosted the first one. All the champions came back. And what I didn't like at first is they invited everybody playing in the tournament. So you could be at the champions dinner and just be in the finals, you know, the 16 guys that are going to buy or compete for the championship. But it's pretty cool. We had a lot of champions come back, you know, some guys 75, 80 years old were back there, and we're all wearing our jackets. And now Kevin's got a jacket. He gets to pick the menu.
I went down to Joseph A. Banks and got the jacket, and then they put this logo on it. It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing.
What do you like more, your Hall of Fame jacket or your?
We don't get jackets for that. We don't get jackets. But I am going to Napa Valley this weekend, so if you want me to pick you some good stuff up, I will.
Let's do it. Yeah, I want some Chateau Lafite.
Okay, well, they don't make that there, Kevin.
I know. I figured they didn't.
I'm going fishing in Massachusetts. Kevin will say, "Hey, can you bring me back some T-bones?"
Amazing.
Well, listen, we're happy. We got Trent Green, one of the other good guys.
We've been chasing this guy for years.
You are a Kansas City guy now, right? I mean,
yeah. Yeah, we've been here since 2001. Right. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
Other than the couple years that got traded away, that kind of thing. But we moved back. This is home. Definitely.
Yeah. And your kids are how old?
Let's see, soon to be 27 and 25, the boys, and then a daughter that's 18. So
where will she go to school?
She's a volleyball player, freshman at University of Cincinnati.
Oh, that's right. We talked about this because big ticket. Yeah. His daughter plays with her.
You know Ted McDonald.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. His daughters are pretty good. Big ticket. His daughters are pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Good volleyball.
So Zoe and Janelle played on the same club team the last couple of years. Yeah. Yep.
Nice. Well, did you just go on a golf trip with those guys?
I did not. With Ted? No, I have not.
But you just had a big boys trip.
I did. And I went to Cabot Cliffs up in Nova Scotia. Incredible. It's the Bandon of Canada, if you will. There's 2 golf courses, and then all along the ocean, literally ocean holes or ocean views on just about every hole. And then they made a par 3 course, and the dining, it's just a world-class experience. So
you stay on campus?
Stay on campus. It's in a really small town, kind of a cool little town. It's just got a really good vibe. It's a tough one to get to, further away than Bandon, but incredible. So especially this time of year, weather was perfect.
It looked so much like Ireland. I had never heard of it until Sinks told me that's where you were, and I went and looked at it. It looks like Ireland. It looks like a Trump course in Ireland.
It was unreal. So, it's just lake-style golf and incredible mix of holes.
It's awesome. So, what's your all-time favorite course?
So I played one recently. There was a Robert Trent Jones course outside of DC in Northern Virginia that we played years ago when I was playing football over there. That was phenomenal. Because I went to putt and I'm thinking I'm going here, and the guy that's caddying for us is like, no, you need to putt to me, and then it's going to go this way. And sure enough, he was right. So yeah, I listened to him and he was right. That was a great course. I played the have you guys I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. A hoopy
match play club.
A match club.
Yeah.
So one of the guys,
South Carolina,
Georgia,
and
but you just make it. It's like whoever wins the hole gets to pick the next hole distance.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's no real tee box. It's like this general area is the tee box. Yeah.
It's kind of like Dismal.
Yeah. Cool. It's really cool. And I think there's 27 holes. So you kind of pick out a different 9 and hey, we're going to go this track this time. So CBS, our golf people at CBS, do a big CBS golf, with some of the football guys and bring us in there, and we go down there for a weekend and play a bunch of golf and stay in cabins. It's out. I mean, you talk about out in the middle of nowhere. The first time I'm driving there, I hit dirt road and I'm like, this can't be right. This is something. And sure enough, they're like, no, keep going. Just keep going. And, this guy's built a bunch of cabins, cleared out a bunch of trees. And yeah, it's beautiful out there.
So this is how far from Atlanta? Is it close? Or?
Oh no, it's a couple hours.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's probably 2, 3, 4 hours from Atlanta.
Maybe make it part of your East Lake trip, George. We were talking about with your buddy Drew Hinesley.
Well, what's cool about that place is I think
you probably need a member to get on this.
I'm guessing these guys didn't pay, but you just pay a flat rate of like $1,250 or $1,500 for the day, and it includes all the golf you want, all the food you want, all the drinks you want. And it's just
it's just like a one. It's just a flat fee.
Did they lose money on you?
Probably. Probably. Yes, probably.
That's
so it's set up, because you have the cabins you stay in, and then you just the food, the drink, the golf, everything. It's just kind of like.
How often do you get roped into the game, the hot game with Ronnie and Goody and Gurley and them?
This year I've gotten in a couple times. It's usually a couple times a year. They try and play every Friday. And I've been able to go a few times, but once football hit, those guys will keep playing all the way through. But my golf clubs are about to be hung up here once the season gets going. So
it's like you're still a player.
Yeah, it is. There's I'd like to say, there's some guys in the broadcast world that just kind of show up and, hey, what teams we got today? And here we go. And you just kind of wing it. That's not me. I'm like, my biggest fear is like not being prepared. And so I just, because you're representing those teams and you want to represent them in the right way. So if I'm having, like week 1, I got Jacksonville, Miami at Miami. If I go in and say something stupid about Jacksonville, all their fans are going to be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Or Miami, we had probably 5 or 6 times last year. So, never in like week 7 do you want to start talking about a team and this guy's having a great season. Then you're looking like, he's hurt for 4 weeks, so he's missed. It's like, so you got to make sure you're going through and just because a guy has a historically good career or historically bad career, he may be doing some good stuff or something that happened in training. I mean, so I just spend all my
for weeks
and videos and reading about players. And
so for week 1, when does your prep start? Obviously, once you're into the season, you basically have 1 week.
So I do the Chiefs preseason, and so I'll start up this week. I'll start going to camp. I know you've already been up to camp, but I'll go up to camp. I'll try and get there at least 3 practices before that first preseason game, which happens to be down in Jacksonville. As far as week 1, I'll wait until that week before, because there's always trades. A guy gets cut. We're getting him off this practice squad, this waiver wire, this something, right? So I always wait until week 1, and then I do everything by hand. I just remember it better if I'm writing it down and drawing it and all that stuff. So, I just start watching tape and getting ready for it. So.
Okay, week 7. Let's say it's week 7. You get home for after week 6, Sunday night.
Yeah.
You got the Bengals and the Raiders. What do you do Monday? You start watching film on
Monday, what I've had the last 10 years is we have a Monday show for CBS on CBS Sports Network, Monday QB, that I did with Rich Gannon and Steve Berline, and we had our host Adam Shine and stuff. We're not doing that this year. So this year I'll still do the radio for 810, do kind of a Monday wrap with that. And then I won't start my next week prep until Tuesday. So usually I try and leave Tuesday morning to have a normal life for that half a day. And then Tuesday afternoon, I'll start watching tape. I'll go back and I'll watch.
They send you tape. NFL sends you tape or CBS.
So you can have NFL Plus, which is an account you can get through NFL.com. Anybody can sign up for it and pay for it. With CBS, they give us an account. So we just go in and plug in. You can either watch the broadcast, you can watch a shortened version, which basically eliminates all of me, it eliminates all the talk, and it's just play after play after play. Or you can watch coaches tape, so you get the different angles where the coaches see and the players see. So I'll start Tuesday afternoon watching tape for those 2 teams. I usually will watch. For sure, I'm going to watch the last 2 games they've played. Sometimes I'll go back, and if these 2 teams, so you said week 7, let's say in week 1 they played each other. So I'll watch their last 2 games, then I'll go back and watch the matchup they had earlier in the year or something. So, and then Wednesday, we usually get a bunch of emails with information from the teams. So I can go over injury reports, and, they'll give us articles from the preseason. So if there's some big preseason story about one of these players or coaches, we can dive into that. Or let's say the stadium renovations, or, you just try and read as much as you can. And I start doing my notes on Wednesday, and then Thursday, I try and talk to both offensive and defensive coordinators from both teams.
By phone?
Yes. So I usually will save that for Thursday afternoon, Thursday night. So it gives me more time to prep, because last thing you want to do is get on the phone with a coordinator and not know what the hell you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you haven't watched any tape, you know? Yeah. And a lot of these guys I've kind of gotten to know over the years, just doing it for a long time, either guys I played against or guys that were coaches on the other time or on the other side. So that's been a good way for me to stay connected with the game. And then Friday, sometimes I'm leaving on Fridays to go, watch the home team practice and get meetings with them. Sometimes I'll wait until Saturday. Like, certain teams like to do Zooms, now that it's like, hey, instead of coming to practice, why don't we just do a Zoom on Wednesday or do a Zoom on Thursday? It makes it easier for our players. And we're pretty, Kevin and I are pretty accommodating. I'll be partnered up with Kevin Harlan again. And, he's the best. And
by far the best.
Yeah. It's phenomenal working with him, but he's got, his schedule is, NBA, and then he does Monday Night Football for Westwood One Sports. And then, it's just ongoing. So trying to work his schedule, my schedule, and get it all pieced together. So you just kind of Tuesday until Sunday kickoff.
Do the teams offer
clubs away?
Yeah, that's it. That's right.
Do the teams offer, they want to do Zoom just because it's less moving parts, or do they do Zoom because they don't want you at practice seeing things?
So there's some teams so I've been in it long enough now. They trust me and know that I'm not I'm not
in the ghost.
That's one of the biggest things that I think, the biggest hurdles, especially when you first get into it. So, if you're, for instance, for me, when I first got into it, everybody's like, oh, you're playing the Chiefs. We know who you want to win. I'm like, no, this is my job. This is what I'm doing, and you get into that, Romo with the Cowboys or Aikman with the Cowboys. It's like, everybody always thinks there's, something going on, but it's so there are some teams that would rather you not be there, especially since once COVID happened and they're like, oh, wait, we can leave all you people out of the building and out of practice and away from meetings, and they can kind of regulate when the players come in.
Yeah.
Whereas we're first sitting there, they have to funnel them in a certain amount of time because they're trying to get us out of their buildings. Exactly. So then but Zoom, they can kind of control it a little bit more. So some teams like to do Zoom still.
What's it like being on the road, Kevin Harlan? Because you're like brothers. Like you said, you did 5 Miami games last year.
Yeah.
And it's always you two. And I always imagine you loading up at KCI or whatever, and you guys spend the week together, or spend 3 days together.
Yes. Yep. Kevin's the best. He's as good of a broadcaster as he is. He's a nicer person, and he treats everybody with such respect and such class. It always amazes me, all these booths we go into around the country, how many people come in to say hi to him, because he's been in it forever, in radio and in TV and college and NBA. All the basketball, football, all the different stuff. And so, and he always, unless we're like in a rehearsal, but if we're not in a rehearsal, he takes his earpiece out, and he sits there and looks at them eye to eye and gives them the time, and then after 5-10 minutes, he's like, listen, I got to get back to my preparation. He's just, he handles it with such class. And it doesn't matter who it could be, like a young kid just getting in the business. We've had that a few times where we'll walk in or I'll walk in, because he gets there a lot early. He likes to get there a lot early. He has his routine that he likes to get ready for. And I'm like, Kevin, I'm not going to go sit at the stadium for 4 hours before kickoff. I was like, I'll get there a little bit later than you. And sometimes we'll walk in and there'll be a young guy or girl in there that's trying to get into the business. And he'll be, hey, I invited this guy up for the day. Just, he wanted to see what a broadcast is like. And now everybody out there that sees this, don't call up Kevin and say, I want to come sit. But there are some people that he's trying to help out get into the business, and they're able to ask us questions and kind of observe what a NFL booth is like. But yeah, he's the best. And my favorite thing is when we're walking through an airport is to kind of hang back a little bit. Like, he'll get in a conversation with our producer or director, sideline person, whoever it may be. And I just kind of drift back a little bit and watch, because a lot of people don't know him by face.
Right.
But 100% of people know his voice.
Yes. They walk by him and they go,
oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I sit back. That's one of my favorite things to do in the airport, is just to watch people's reaction, not when they see him, but when they hear the voice, because they're like, wait a second. And they start looking around like, I recognize that voice, because it's
so
like
good.
Yeah.
Okay. So your first week is Jacksonville
at Miami. Yeah.
When did we find out your second?
They already gave it to us. So they actually give us our first 3 weeks.
Oh,
So CBS, and I'm not sure if Fox still does it this way, but Fox traditionally gives out the first half of season and then the second half of season. So you're getting all your, CBS does it a little bit differently because they want to wait and see, some of the teams that you think are going to be really good aren't very good. And some of the teams that, Houston Houston wasn't on anybody's radar. And all of a sudden they did incredible things last season. So they all of a sudden were getting some big crews and big games. So CBS only does it in short spurts, like 2 to 3 games at a time. So we got our first 3. We got Jacksonville at Miami. Week 2 is San Francisco at Minnesota, which could be a good one. It depends on what Minnesota's going to do at quarterback, but they had a lot of success last year, and San Francisco's pretty outstanding as well. And then we have Miami again, week 3. So we're Miami at Seattle. So that's a little bit of a commute there. Yeah.
That's a jaunt.
But the funny thing about it, when I got done playing, one of the first people I called was Kevin Harlan. And I said, Kevin, I think this is what I want to do. I'm not sure. I may want to do radio, may want to do TV, may want to do studio work, games. I didn't really know which direction I wanted to go. But I said, my main reason for calling you is to find out about Kansas City. I said, I've lived here since 2001. I said, we love it there. I go, but how is it with the business? Like everybody in the business lives on one of the coasts, right? Mm-hmm. For the most part. Right. And he said, it's great because you can get anywhere in 2.5 hours. You don't have the 5-hour flights, all of our crew, most of them are in New York, Connecticut, Jersey area. Getting to Seattle and back is not an easy commute. Yeah. And when I was with Greg Gumbel, he lived down in Lauderdale, outside of Lauderdale.
That'd be tough.
Yeah. And so we go into Seattle or Arizona or, something like that. So he would go early.
Can you get to most of the NFL cities on a direct flight?
No.
From here. Yeah.
No. So a lot of the smaller regional, there used to be directs to Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis. They just brought the one to Indianapolis back as Southwest direct. But they haven't. Yeah. So no, that's you used to have all there was that direct to Cincinnati, and now I'm mad because of volleyball, right? I want to go see my daughter play. Instead of getting there in an hour and 20 minutes, now it takes 5 hours because I got to connect there somewhere. So
Atlanta, yeah. Mitch Holthus, obviously another great one.
Yes.
Kevin leaves. Mitch comes in from K-State, and he's been there forever.
Yes.
How is it different from being a Mitch with one team where you have to live, die, and of course talk about taking notes? Right. I remember seeing one of his boards, before the game, all that stuff, right?
Yes.
What's the difference between those two, other than the travel?
So I think the biggest difference would be the prep standpoint. So Kevin, we've got to be impartial. We've got to be 50-50. We've got to prepare for both teams and everything else. Mitch is phenomenal, and he is so good. Like, he knows everything about every person on the Chiefs, whether you're a trainer, a third wide receiver, a coach that's new to the team. I mean, he is so in depth. I remember when I first got to the Chiefs, I think that was maybe his 3rd or 4th year doing radio. And I would always see him in the locker room on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And it's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, Coach Vermeil lets me come in and watch tape. He goes, I'm here to watch tape. I sit down in the coach's office. They give me the clicker and I go through the tape. And so he does, and he still does. I think, from what I understand, Andy gives him that access as well. So, and now there's Chiefs.com and there's all kinds of other things that he's doing during the week. But I think that's the biggest difference is, his energy is mainly focused on the Chiefs. Like our preseason broadcast for TV, because every team has their own preseason TV broadcast. All you're going to hear me talk about is the Chiefs. You won't barely hear me mention the other team, because that's what they want. Which is completely fine. I mean, but yeah, Mitch is phenomenal. His energy, his one-liners. Yeah. It's
well, he doesn't sit. He stands the whole time. Yeah. And have you ever seen the video when the Chiefs do something great? He's crazy. Yeah. Just going crazy in the box. And I'm sure every home announcer for the Bengals or the Dolphins does the same way.
Yeah.
They're all homers, right?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
You gotta be gassed after a game.
Oh my God. He's got to be.
What's so fun is when they'll pull up the bite from the clip from and they'll play like the home radio guy, and you just always get the chills when it's like Sports Center and we just ran a kickback or just won the game on a last minute play. You get the chills with Mitch's stuff.
What was the call? What was the call in Miami when Kevin was doing both games?
Oh,
you remember that?
So he was doing the Chiefs.
You remember this one?
He was doing the Chiefs game, and I don't know who were the Chiefs playing because the Miami was playing.
Somebody had to lose.
It was Miami and New England, and so here's the funny thing. And sorry, right. Kevin, I'm sorry that I'm telling this story. So he was with Rich Gannon at the time doing the Chiefs game, and I forget who the Chiefs were playing. They were playing somebody in Arrowhead,
right?
Greg and I were in New England doing the Miami New England game, and they both going on at the same time. We get to the stadium. Okay, just so you know, we're not talking about the Chiefs game. They want to talk about the Chiefs game in New York. We don't give an update because just like Kevin and them, they had it on their iPad or whatever because you're watching because it carries meaning.
But it had playoff intentions of the Chiefs getting home games or not, right?
So I think the way it worked is if Miami beat New England.
Right. Chiefs got all home games.
Won. They got the home game.
Right.
It was like a big deal. I can't remember exactly, but I think that was the thing.
Yep.
So we had it on and we would reference it a little bit, but we weren't. And our producer kept saying,
"Don't go there.
Hey, don't, New York wants to take it. We're going to throw back to New York after this play. We're going to throw back to New York. They're going to give an update about Kansas City. Cause Kevin and I could both Greg and I could both see like what just happened in Kansas City. And they're like, don't say it. Don't say it. Just leave, just leave it around. So then all of a sudden we get to the end, we go through the way it ends up. We're like, oh, this is, it ended the way the NFL wanted it to end, right? Where both games were meaningful games in the final seconds of the fourth quarter, split screens, all that stuff, right? We get to the airport and I'm telling the producer, Greg and I are like, gosh, it really would have been good if we could have talked about that other game. I know New York wanted to do it, but we get to New York, we sit down, we got a chance for a beer before we jump on the flight to go back. And we sit down and they go, ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to listen to Kevin Harlan in the Kansas City broadcast. And they throw it up. And Kevin's doing both broadcasts. He's doing both games at the end of the game. He's like, and a touchdown from Rose. And guess what's going on in Miami? And he's doing both games. And Greg and I look at each other and we look at our producer. We're like staring through him. We're just like, now that's great TV.
Yeah.
And you told us not to do that. And I go, and the funny thing is, Kevin, so I said to Kevin, I go, we weren't supposed to. He goes, I know we weren't, but it was just such a big moment. And I'm like, Kevin, you got, he could care less about clicks. I go, you probably had 10 million people view that thing because you're calling.
It's something like this. Mahomes to Pacheco down to the 2. Oh, in Miami, here we go.
It was me.
Told you, touchdown to Tyreek Hill. They win. Okay, Chiefs take score.
Oh yeah, he did both right. He did that. Yes. And I think he may have even won like an Emmy or got like broadcast. It was just like the play of the year. And it's so I like Gavin, my old producer. Like, you remember that game that we weren't? He had
a little more control over you than Kevin.
Kevin did the one time when the guy went out of the field. He's at the 30, the 35 to 40. Oh, baby, what I'm playing.
He even did was it in New York on a radio call that he did like the squirrel? There was like a squirrel on the field or something like that. It was like, or some kind of animal was running around. He can.
That's funny. All right, let's just real quick commercial break. We come back, talk a little bit more about what you're expecting from the NFL season.
Okay,
it's always fun this time of year, right? Yeah. Of course, a lot of us think the Chiefs are going to be even better, baby. So I want to see you think you're going to be better. All right, come on back with Trent Green in the Golf Underground.
Cowell Insurance Services is your leading program administrator for workers' compensation. They're dedicated to meeting the unique challenges of the insurance industry and assisting employers in reducing their costs. CIS has provided insurance claim and loss control services to various industries, including trucking, construction, retail convenience stores, and healthcare, as well as public entities for over 30 years. They work with both retail agents and industry clients, or a combination of the two. If you're tired of fighting the rising costs of premiums and claims, give Cowell Insurance Services a call. Their dedicated staff is ready to find you the best insurance option at the most competitive price. They can help to define or enhance your safety program in order to move you in the right direction in reducing your claim and premium costs. Contact Cowell Insurance Services today, 816-214-4070.
What's up, Underground? Sully here with a message from our friends over at Bob's Site. Now, buying a new vehicle can be a bit like buying a new set of clubs, which means when you want to drive the ball straight, you seek advice from experts, golf pros like our boy Wardo. And when it comes to buying your next car or truck, you also need expert advice so that you drive away in style. Well, you now have options with the Site family's expanded dealership, now including Honda and Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram in Lawrence, Kansas. And they're there to guide you to the perfect vehicle. With a commitment to exceptional service and a real passion for helping each customer, they're like the trusted golf pros of the auto world. And they're ready to analyze your needs and match you with your ideal ride. So step into bobsite.com or visit their Lawrence locations. Experience the difference of a team that's dedicated to helping you navigate your options, ensuring you drive off with confidence and satisfaction. Hey, Brian Sullivan of Golf Underground with my favorite orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Kevin Whitty from Sano Orthopedics. Hey, Doc, golf season's over. My back is killing me. I know it's football season, so you got a lot of kids coming in, blown ACLs, all sorts of body parts with problems. And then, of course, those baseball players. I know you fix a lot of elbows. Why is Sano Orthopedics the absolute best sports medicine orthopedic group in Kansas City?
Well, if you want to see the guys in town who've had the best orthopedic fellowship training in sports medicine, including training with Dr. James Andrews and Dr. Larry Lemack, come see us. We individualize patients' plans to get them back to that activity and that sport that they love. And we actually care and listen to our patients and follow up with them and make sure that they're getting the results they need.
Okay, and so the three things that separate you: number one, best training; number two, you specialize in getting people on that field; number three, you're actually listen. Where can I learn more? Because you got me all in, and I don't really want to get fixed, but it's time.
At SanoOrthopedics.com, 816-525-2840.
Hi, this is George Brett, Hall of Fame baseball player, and I've been playing golf for over 35 years. Hitting the ball far was never my problem, but the closer I got to the greens, that's when my problems began. When I wanted a golf practice area in my backyard, I called Celebrity Greens. They are the industry leader in custom-built synthetic golf greens. These championship caliber, low-maintenance greens roll great, react like real bent grass, and hold chip shots that check and spin. I absolutely love mine, not only in Kansas City, but also in Arizona. Call the pros at Celebrity Greens at 1-888-507-7960 or visit them online at celebritygreens.com. Practice like the pros, or people like me that want to be pros, right in your own backyard.
Hey, Brian Sullivan, Golf Underground, with a little tip for you. If you're looking to buy a new Ford, you have to check out my buddy, Jason Gudenkoff at Lewisburg Ford. They've been saving Midwest Ford buyers thousands of bucks for over 40 years because they do business the right way. They sell everything, check this out, for $50 over invoice. That's simple and cheap. And they win a lot of awards. In fact, they won Ford's President's Award 17 times. That's the top Ford award. And they only give it to dealers with superior customer satisfaction in sales and service. So they know how to take care of customers better than anybody. Now, what these guys know how to do also, keep this in mind, sell trucks. Lewisburg Ford has sold more F-150s than any other Ford dealership in greater Kansas City. That's 2 years running. And last year, they were the number one F-150 sales leader in the entire state of Kansas. So, no hassle. $50 over invoice pricing, unparalleled customer satisfaction, and a huge selection. That's a perfect recipe for selling trucks. So, check out all their inventory and prices online at lewisburgford.com or give them a call at 816-444-2300.
New golf clubs, a big screen TV to watch the U.S. Open, or maybe even a new golf cart that I've got my eye on.
No matter how you choose to spend the savings, if you're looking to put a dent in your monthly heating and cooling bills, the answer may be right over your head. If your attic isn't insulated properly, you're missing out on a prime opportunity to cut costs. Call the certified energy experts at Star Companies, Inc., 816-353-2160 for a free estimate to learn how they can help you save money. 816-353-2160 or visit starcompanieskc.com.
All right, welcome back. Golf Underground, the stable. Trent Green. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming season. Right. What are you thinking? I know it's a general question.
Yeah. I was looking through some notes as I'm getting ready for the preseason and the Chiefs preseason. And the Chiefs, it was their lowest output with Mahomes at quarterback, points per game, yards per game, which is just phenomenal to me. And I think going into the playoffs, not everybody was super confident that the Chiefs were going to be able to pull it off. And you're like, well, anytime 15's back there, you got to give them a chance, and they found a way. And you could even see, when they won the AFC Championship game, I think if you go back and watch the video, like their expression was like, I can't believe we just did, even they were a little bit shocked because they going into Baltimore, that's a tough place, and Baltimore's good. I mean, they had number one scoring defense. They had the MVP of the league. So, but they got it done. And so when you look at the pieces, so because of that, and because of what Brett Veach and Andy Reid and, they've done in recent years, you've always got to give them the benefit of the doubt. So, whatever moves they make are going to be good moves. And I just saw, I think it was today or yesterday, that Tooney got cleared. So he's back on the field, which is a big piece of that. Their interior three is as good as anybody.
How's a rugby player?
So I haven't seen him in practice yet. I'm anxious to see how they're going to use him. And I want to talk to Tobe to see, because I think he's going to be a big part of special teams. And I've even heard buzz that they may use him on the kickoff.
Yeah.
Because of, he's 6'4", 250 and can run as fast as they're saying, and he can kick like they do in rugby. Well, go ahead and let him kick off and go down there and just blow somebody up. I mean,
we had Justin Reed on there.
Oh, did he? The new kickoff rule. Right. That's what I'm saying. So if you doing that,
they were doing that when I was at practice here, Dan, I'm going, what the hell is this? And
it's gonna really, because they line up so close together. They're trying to get rid of the big collision.
Yeah.
Right. But because of that, if there's a return, all those guys are lined up in a line. In the old days, you had them, last year, right? They're all in different levels and different lanes. So it's like you get through one, then you got to get around another. This is going to be all lined up across.
Yeah.
And if you get one, you're home.
It's like
Vikings.
Well, it's like the teams that 4th and 1 stack everybody up on the line of scrimmage to stop it. You get through, and then the next thing you know, it's a touchdown because there's nobody else there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you like that rule? Well, we're about to find out. I mean, I think it's going to add some excitement back into it.
Trying to explain it to me at practice the other day, I'm going, I don't understand what
you're like lining up like receiver.
You're like
win.
Well, you're like lining.
Well, no, they're 5 yards apart. They're not like
you're kicking off still from the 35, but you're on the other team's 40, the linemen or all the guys, right? And then those guys are on the 35.
So they're 5.
So you can really run 5 yards,
and you get from what I understand, and I've got to go through and get the specifics of it. But if you kick it out of the end, they're trying to encourage people to kick it short of the goal line to get people to return it. So if you kick in the end zone, it's going to be a certain yard line. Whereas if you're forced to return it, then they want people to take that chance.
So it's going to be more like a food kick type.
Which they did last year. To the 5 or the 1. Teams did last year anyway. Just because you can get them down inside the 20.
There's going to be obviously a lot more kickoff returns, wouldn't you think?
You would think, yeah. That's what you said. You guys had Justin Reed in here, or
yeah.
Because Justin was one of the guys. He's like, I think there's going to be some big returns. There's going to be a lot more.
He's worried about losing his job to the rugby guy. He wants to be a player. He's like, I get to squad. Is he hurt?
He's hurt. I was at practice the other day, and I walked up to him afterwards, and I go, "What are you doing?" He said, "I got a sore quad, a strain, not a pull, a strain." So.
I think he had one when we were playing golf with him too.
He swung like it was quad.
When you hit a lot of golf balls.
You come on this show, we got to go play golf.
All right. I'm all for that.
George doesn't like the action that Goody likes, so you'll be okay with his little $10, $20 closeout, But it sounds like Trent likes the speed because he keeps going back for more.
Right.
Well, I just like playing. I try not taking it too seriously. I put on my ball. It's all good. Just as a reminder, I don't, George, you and I were talking about this a few weeks ago. You're like, just go out for like 20, 30 minutes a day, just to get contact, or to go putt. And I'm like, I get out maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
Right.
And you're like, well, you're not going to get any. And then all of a sudden I'll take 2 weeks off because I'm gone doing something. And it's like, you're like, no, you just got the consistency, and that's where the repetition, and I'll get to that point at some point, just right now. So that's why I put it's all good. Just kind of keep me from exploding, breaking my club over my knee.
That's what I did last night.
Tell me.
I grilled some sausage, and when I was grilling sausage, I was out on the putting green.
Is this a little
good 25 minutes?
Is this a little plug for Celebrity Greens or what?
Greens. We just did a big one over at for the Folds of Honor.
Oh yeah, how was that?
In Parkville. Yeah, we put a green in some house up there.
Weston didn't call me when he was in town.
He started working at like 7 a.m. till 5. We all went to the game. They got one of the dugout suites at Royal Stadium.
Yeah.
And then the next morning they were there at 7 a.m. and he left that night. They got that green in 2 days. They had people drive in from Iowa. They had Brock was there with his crew. Another crew from Iowa came in. I mean, I went there to watch him do it for about 2 hours one day. Wow.
That's a production on how much is going on with that base and all that preparation.
Yep.
It was just a random guy's house?
No, it was a Folds of Honor guy.
It was a Folds of Honor.
Somebody lost their husband about 3 years ago, and Weston decided that they needed a green. So they put a green in this guy's backyard for his 11-year-old kid.
It's pretty cool. Yep. That's awesome. Hey, that was cool. Did you ever sit down with Jim Nantz? Speaking of a great vocalist.
So, I know him because of our meetings and stuff like that. But because of COVID, CBS stopped their, so we haven't had a big seminar. Normally every year they'd bring all the crews in for the start of the season. We'd meet with the NFL. We'd meet with officials. This is kind of what we want to do for the season. These are the new rules. You go through the whole thing. So I get opportunity to talk to him then. So I haven't seen him in probably 3-4 years. We are bringing that back this year though. So they want all the crews together. So I'll get a chance to see him this sometime in August because they have all the crews will come we're going to meet with the NFL for a day and then meet with the officials and some of our marketing people and stuff like that.
Where does that all take place? New York?
New York.
Got it.
Is there anyone in the business who you haven't really gotten to sit down with and you want to pick their brain and learn a bunch of stuff or just learn about them?
It's you mean from a broadcast standpoint? I've been fortunate. A lot of the analysts are guys that I either played against or, knew because they've been in the business long enough that they were covering me when I was playing or we played against each other, So a lot of those guys I've known, Troy Aikman is a guy that I had a ton of respect for, or have a ton of respect for, both as a player and as broadcaster, because the way he goes about his job and, Norv Turner, when I was with him for 4 years in Washington, he was just coming off all those years in Dallas with Troy and winning Super Bowls with Troy. So he and Troy are like, father, son. They're not father, but that's how close they are. And so when I was trying to learn the offense in Washington, I would study Troy Aikman tapes over and because that's what Norv had. So I really kind of tried the way he ran the offense, the footwork, the timing of the throws, all that kind of stuff. I've really spent a lot of time at. And then when I got into broadcasting, everybody has their own broadcasters they like, right? Yep. Some are more ESPN where it's explosions and pops and wows and all that stuff. And other stuff is more descriptive and maybe not as much of that, so it's like everybody kind of has their own style. And you have
it's like the PGA versus Live, right? It's got the different branding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You have your different styles and everybody has their own styles. Like my style's, like with CBS, my style is different than Charles Davis. It's different than Tony Romo's. It's different than James Lofton or Adam Archuleta or Jay Feely. We've all kind of find our niche and how we do it. So, but I always like the way that Troy delivered. I always liked the way that he prepared. You could tell he studied tape and the way that he broadcast games. So I've spent a lot of time talking to him over the years, both with football and with from a broadcast standpoint. Chris Collinsworth, before I got into the business, I haven't talked to Chris in years because he's at another network. But before I got in the business, I remember my last few years playing when they would come cover our games. I would ask him a lot of questions like, "Hey, transitioning from player to broadcast, and the networks are always looking for guys like Justin Reed's going to be a guy that all the networks want. They're going to want, I can tell you right now, they're lining up to interview him and say, "Hey, whenever you're done, here's my card." Is that kind of thing. Which I was fortunate that in production meetings, I had a number of producers and directors and stuff that would say, "Hey, when you're done, give us a call." So my first year, I didn't, and this was probably a mistake on my part, I didn't hire an agent because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to do studio or games or radio or what it is. So I just started calling all these guys that I'd gotten cards from. I was like, "Hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think?" So, yeah, Justin's going to be one of those guys because we even go through and our bosses will call us and say, hey, if you come across any players that you think, could potentially, do this down the road. And I said, well, hell no, I'm not gonna, because you're taking my time. Well, it's not gonna that. So, speaking of that, right. He is. He's gonna be he's gonna. Is
he in studio or is he doing games?
He's doing games. He's gonna be Fox's number one game.
Come on.
I know.
See, come on. It's like you. I mean, he should retire.
Yeah.
And just travel and do things that you want to do. He doesn't need to do the grind.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be good, you got to do the homework like you, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I'm sure
Tom, are you?
Because he was great at that.
So
that made him a great quarterback.
That's why he didn't. From what he said, the reason he didn't do it last year is because he wanted to practice. He didn't want to just jump in and not do well. So I don't know how much. I don't know how much he's practiced or not practiced. I guess we're about to find out. Yeah. So yeah, jumping in it, so for me, George, my first couple years out, I did games. My first year out, I did games for Fox. I did studio work for NFL Network. And then I realized I didn't like being gone on the weekends. Mm-hmm. So then I was during the week, I was with NFL Network, and then I'd be home on the weekends. Well, the studios for NFL Network are out in LA. So I was going back and forth. Then I'd miss like all the week. I'd come home on Thursday night, be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, jump on a plane at 5 a.m., go into Dallas to connect to LA and do, And I was like, this is nuts. My wife's like, you're crazy. What are you doing?
Exactly. That's like what I'm saying.
She's like, this isn't retirement. So I only did NFL Network for 2 years. When she's like, well, we're gonna move to LA. This is nuts because we don't ever see you.
Fox? Were you doing Fox then?
I only did Fox for 1 year, and then
Howard Long.
No. I was a bottom guy. I was Howie's at Fox, but yes, yes, he was doing the studio, and that's a whole different. The studio schedule compared to like the game schedules, it's a whole different world because you go to the same place every week.
Right.
How much you do during the week. It's like, hey, we want you to talk about this, and this week. So you're only preparing for those things. Whereas a game, you've got to cover both teams. So there's a lot more prep that goes into it, but you also get the adrenaline rush of game day.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that.
What I found for me is I like that. I like you get done, like when I'm in the booth, you get your headset on, one ear and talking, I'm talking to Kevin over here, and that's live and that's going out over air. But if I push a button in my other ear, I'm talking to my producer, director in the truck, like, hey, I want this for the replay, or hey, what are we going to do on that? And they're giving me notes. So I'm having two conversations. So sometimes you get to halftime and you're like, well, what the hell just happened?
So fast.
It's such a fast pace kind of thing.
Is that all hard to get used to?
It is.
Something in your ear, and
it is. And that's why you fortunately for me, it wasn't a big issue. But you can tell guys that it is an issue. And some of those guys don't last very long because you're in the middle of a sentence and all of a sudden, hey, we're going to commercial. And then they stop. And they're like, what? So when you hear guys like talking, all of a sudden they abruptly stop, it's usually because somebody in the truck is saying something in their other ear.
Yeah.
And they're stopping to listen or stopping to because it messed up their train of thought or,
Listen, that's through it as a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's in your ear anyway, right? Yeah. Guys in the huddle, you're listening to this. So you kind of went through it.
Yes.
That's why a quarterback played.
And I've been married 30 years. So you got kids over here. You got, you got
you got to know what fake listening.
Yes, dear.
Hey, tell me about a guy like Collinsworth, right? Because you talk about studio. In studio, your opinions
yes,
a little more loud in the studio, obviously, than when you're in the booth. Collinsworth, over the years, he pissed off some guys.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. How did he find this balance? Other than apologizing to quite a few guys when they proved him wrong.
So I think and he's done both. So it's you have to juggle it a little bit differently. I'll give you an example because I don't know Chris's.
Sure.
I don't know those specifics. When Peyton Manning was coming towards the end of his career with the Broncos, right? And we all could see it.
Yeah.
We could all see that he wasn't the same, like the zip on the ball and like everything was there, but just the physical tools, you could just see it happening. And our studio guys and other studio guys were getting after him, right? Is even Drew Brees when Drew can't throw the long ball anymore. It's like, so they're saying these types of things. Well, we all of a sudden have the game where Peyton's going to break the all-time yardage record, but he clearly isn't who he is. And sure enough, in that game, and I think it may have even been against the Chiefs. I think in that game, he threw 3 first half interceptions.
Remember that.
And this is the game he's setting the all-time record. And I remember the producer at the time, who's not my producer now, but the producer at the time is in my ear going, "You got to hammer him. You got to hammer him." And why are you saying anything? And I push the button. I'm like, I'm not doing that to freaking Peyton Manning on the day. Like we had this whole thing set up to like when he broke the record, we already had it set up with the Broncos and the way they were stopping the stadium crowd. And, they're going to acknowledge the NFL record. We had this whole video montage of his career and how we're going to celebrate him. I'm like, on the day that he's becoming the NFL's all time, I'm not doing that. And he just kept on with every interception. He's like, well, the guys in New York. I said, the guys in New York don't have to go to a meeting with Peyton Manning 2 weeks from now when we have Denver again. Right. And I know Peyton personally. So I was like, I go, there's a way I can do it. That makes it clear that he's not having his best game. He's not at what he was 5-10 years ago. And that's what I did. I said, I'm going to do it the way I do it, but I'm going to do it in a respectful way because I respect him as a player and I respect the career that he's had, especially on this day. And so, needless to say, I still think I was right. He wasn't happy with me after the game. He's like, if I'm telling you to do something, I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that to a guy like a guy that's had a career like Peyton. I'm not doing that. So you sometimes get into those situations where, I've always found it's harder for us as as analysts because we are going into meetings with those guys. If I have, I had whatever, like I said, five Miami games last year. There's a respectful way you can say that Tua's not having a good game. Now, Tua had a great game like every game last year. That was just an example. So if somebody has a bad game, there's a way you can say it without just completely embarrassing him, his family, his kids, his coaches. Now some of those guys are cutthroat and they go after it. Most of the guys that do that are studio guys or sports radio guys that can say whatever they want because they're never going to see these guys face to face unless Jim Everett wants to throw a table and Jim Everett wants to throw a table and come after you. So that's the fine line you have to have between doing games and doing being in a studio.
What is the common fan? Something that happened behind the scenes that common fan never sees and never will that we should know about that goes on with you guys' production or.
So a lot of it is what I talked about, like I have 2 people in my ear all the time.
Yeah.
Like I have 5 monitors in front of me, and one of those 5 monitors is split into 4 screens. So I have 4 different camera angles in that. So I have one that's a telestrator that I can draw on that you see on air, one that's got all the stats on it, one that's like a live TV, and one that's like replays that I want from different angles. And so I'm looking at all these monitors. Well, I always watch the game live and then I go right to the monitors and start looking for replays because as Kevin's describing what's going on, I'm looking at the replays and I'm talking to the truck like, okay, we want the end zone view. We want the high end zone. We want the angle. We want the cart view. We want the field view, that trying to set up whatever that replay is going to be. Or they may come to me and say, hey, we have the best shot of this. I'm like, then go for it, but I'm also having a conversation with Kevin. So I think that throws a lot of people. Like they're like, wait a second, that's
so much going on.
It's a lot going on. And so that's why there's 2 things I tell fans. If you ever get an opportunity to go into a booth on a game day and see like all that goes on, it's not just like 2 guys sitting there talking about, I could do that. That's no big deal. I don't know if you could.
Hey, how would you compare those studios to this fantastic studio?
I've been in Oakland Coliseum. Which is even smaller than this table right here. Yeah. Everybody says it, right?
I've been to Oakland Coliseum.
Exactly. Man. So it's, water dripping on if it's raining, all that stuff. So yeah.
You won't go to Oakland Coliseum.
Not anymore. Not anymore. No.
Yeah, a little fancier. Well, listen, Trent, thanks for joining us, man. This is fun.
This has been fun.
I got my E9 ready.
Hey, you want to do the E9?
Let's take a quick commercial break.
Who's it sponsored by? We got to change up.
We'll do a little Sheridan's Unforked, eating good, feeling good. He's a good pal of mine. Just had a birthday. All right, let's take a commercial break and then we'll come back I got some good ones for us.
Good ones. All right. Hey, we're Trent Green in the stable.
Did I give him the questions ahead of time?
No. Let's go right at it. Hey, welcome back. Golf Stable. Sully, George, Trent Green, and Wardo's favorite time.
All right, you ready? We got emergency
I'm not
9.
sure what I'm in for here.
Emergency 9. You can quick answers and just a little more vivid than Robert Strett.
Enough pops into your head.
And you want like long descriptions or just like a couple words?
A little bit of both.
All right.
All right. The most intimidating defender you went up against.
I would probably say, just because of some of the battles, it would have been Ray Lewis. We always had some big battles, the Chiefs and Ravens did. He was always talking on the field, and he would come up and he'd be at the line of scrimmage trying to distract me, and I would always try and annoy him, and I wouldn't make eye contact with him. So he'd come up and be sitting there, and I'd try to kind of talking to me while I'm going through my cadence, and I would just kind of like look over his right shoulder, look over his left shoulder, and he would get so mad at me that I wouldn't actually like be distracted by him. So, and he's obviously a Hall of Fame player. We had some big battles with, remember Trevor Price, the defensive lineman for Denver, and Al Wilson, a linebacker for Denver, Junior Seau with, I'm thinking of the guys like in the division that I played a bunch against. Warren Sapp was always somebody that liked to talk a lot, but we had such a good offensive line.
They didn't get to you very much.
They didn't get to me very often. That was always my favorite part about the offensive line, is picking out the different personalities, like how to motivate or not motivate, or get them going. So that was a fun part of it.
That's good. All right, the best spiral you've ever seen, other than your own.
I was gonna say, I thought I threw a pretty good spiral. Let's see. I always love those old NFL films, videos of Staubach and Unitas and Bradshaw, all the Super Bowls, and they'd show the slow motion, So, any of those guys, Marino, Elway, those, just iconic, deep balls, rotating slow motion through the air, and NFL films, voiceovers.
The guy's voice. Was that Huizenga or something?
I can't remember. I know
I should know. The greatest voice of all time.
So good.
Art Star.
All right. Switching gears, the best golf swing or the best golfer you've seen in person.
So I was at Congressional for a U.S. Open watching it. So those, I watched Mickelson putt one day, and this would have been back in the 90s, mid 90s or whatever. But I watched him putt at a practice round for an hour, and he either made it or didn't miss it by less than 6 inches I'm talking, I watched hundreds of putts, and I was like, this, and it all over the green at this giant green at Congressional. And I was like, that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
He can flat out roll it
every single time.
So what's a franchise that you didn't play for, but looking back on would have been like, that would have been cool to play for this team?
Well, I was fortunate, fortunate and unfortunate. I would have rather been with one team my whole career and in that way, but I got to play for my hometown St. Louis Rams. So that was cool, bringing a world championship, back home. So a team that maybe I could have played for that I didn't play for. I guess growing up, you always, the Cowboys were on TV like every single day. It's like every weekend, back when there was only one game, right? It went like you're getting all the games, right? So it was like they were on TV a lot. It's like, I guess the Cowboys.
Hey, are the cultures that much different across the league?
What do you mean?
The internal culture of the club.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it all starts, and George can attest to this, just the ownership, right? The ownership dictates so much of it. You have the family feels, right? Where you got everybody, you feel a part of a family. You have the strictly business. Hey, I know I'm a part of this business model. And so yeah, there are definitely differences.
All right. So let's say Kevin Harlan were to retire tomorrow, and you've got a new crew. Who is somebody that would be fascinating to work alongside?
So I was fortunate that I was with Ian Eagle, doing radio with him for 4 years prior to joining CBS. He's probably a big reason why I'm with CBS. So if Kevin retired, I'd love to get back with Ian, just because it's been 10 years now since we worked together. but any of those, I mean, there's so many iconic announcers now, it's
good too. He's good.
Andrew Catalan is a young guy, kind of an up and comer, does a lot of golf for,
he does,
but he does, Spiro Ditas, who does a really good job with football and basketball. So there's your, kind of your up and comers, and I would love to do a game with Nance. I mean, that goes without saying, but yeah, I think I'm with the best with Kevin.
Yeah, you are.
I hope he doesn't retire anytime soon. I told him, I said, we're going to have this discussion, if that's even in the plan, but I think he loves it too much.
How long you want to do it?
I just re-upped for another couple years. So I know I'm doing it at least for another couple years. I know, as we talked earlier, they're always trying to get new guys and young guys and new guys and young guys and plug them in. So it's not a very secure business, unless you're one of the top guys, if you're the Aikmans and of the world and Collinsworth, those guys like that. But yeah, I mean, as long as I'm still enjoying it.
Why not?
For a long time, I thought I'd get into coaching. I learned their schedules are a little bit more than I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I still think I would enjoy it. I still think I would be good at it, but I don't know from a time commitment standpoint.
I just remember Gunther Cunningham always saying that he gets to the stadium at 4 a.m. Well, what time do you leave the stadium? 2. Yeah. I leave at 2 a.m. and I get back at 4. Come on.
Well, life, all the guys that I respect and played for over the years, the Dick Vermeils, the Mike Martzes, the North Turners, the Cam Camerons, the Al Saunders. I mean, he goes on and on and on. The guys that I played under, and those are the ones that always wanted me to get into coaching because I spent a lot of time with them. And I remember having that conversation, and I would say to him, "What's the one thing? Like, I know all the great things. What's the one thing in every single one of them?" And I didn't ask them all at once. It was at different points in time in my career and different points in time in conversations. And all of them came back and said, you miss a lot of family time. Yeah. You miss a lot of, I remember Al saying, I missed my son's state championship football game because we were on the road, or I missed my daughter's, national, whatever, volleyball, soccer thing. It's like you talk to different people and they're all like, well, I wish some of that, that, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could.
Those Rockers Friday night.
Oh, yes. Yes. So that was,
and Hart,
that was,
Kevin's kid went there.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was, so that was part of my, when I got into this is there's got to be an understanding that if my kids are playing, I'm going to be there and I'll make it work around the schedule. And they've been great with that. And as long as I continue to show up prepared, they're fine with me going to watch their stuff. So, yeah.
All right. I got one more for you. All right. You get Dream Foursome. George is caddying.
I would rather caddy than play.
Dream Foursome. George is on the bag for you. Who do you want? They can be alive or dead.
No, they got to be alive.
All right. Alive.
Well, I think, number one, I'd have my dad. So be myself, my dad. And then I think I would want, Tiger and probably Jack.
Nice.
Just because you would get, I don't know, both ends of the spectrum there. And it'd be cool to have my dad share that moment.
Does your dad play?
He passed away in the 2005 season.
Did he play?
And he did play. He did play. He wasn't like the best golfer in the world, but he enjoyed golf. And, so yeah, I mean, I remember as a little kid watching, whether it was the Masters or the US Open, whatever the big tournaments. We spent more time watching football than golf, but yeah, sitting around and watching that. So I think he'd really enjoy that. That'd be cool to share with him. But yeah, so Jack and Tiger with my dad.
Love it.
That's all I got, Sully.
That's it. We're listening.
And if George is caddy, and then we got
you got it.
You're locked. Covered.
You'll never have a bad lie if I'm caddy.
George is going to go up to Jack and go, so what, Tiger, you two's better.
No. I would
Which
say,
one
Tiger, I'd say, how come you had that guy move that boulder at Phoenix that one year?
Because he could.
And you would tell him about your club championship
if it came up.
Well, you'd have to bring it up.
No, I don't bring stuff up like that. I never.
He would actually have his club championship sport coat on while he's getting
Exactly. All right, well, this has been a blast, Trent. Have a fun time this season.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great season. There's so many stories. Obviously, the storylines with the Chiefs. Nobody's ever three-peated before. All the consecutive AFC championship games, all the consecutive division titles, just on and on, the stuff, the records that Andy and Patrick and Travis, and, we didn't even get into the defense and Chris Jones and all that stuff.
Right.
And there's so many teams chasing them. Everybody's chasing. What's Harbaugh going to do with the Chargers? Are the Raiders, did they poke the bear too much with the little Kermit skit the other day? That was, that'll see, that may come back to haunt them, which I'm sure will. Will Denver get things turned around? So the division, I just really interested to see what Harbaugh does with the Chargers from a division standpoint. And then you got all the other, the Ravens and the Bills and the Bengals and everybody's chasing.
Second year in Denver.
Ball coach. We had the ball coach on.
Yeah.
He was good.
Great. He was great. So is Andy going to the Hall of Fame? He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
So I've never been to that. I'm going to that one. I'll go to that one.
Yeah.
If I'm still alive, I'm going.
He'll be on.
All right, Super Bowl prediction. Who's playing?
Well, you have to go. We have to go with the Chiefs. Until somebody can knock them. Until somebody proves they can consistently knock them out. So, I don't know who's on. I guess it's a repeat, right? San Francisco.
Yeah.
They stay healthy, and maybe it's a repeat of the Super Bowl last year. I guess if Green Bay gets hot, if Jordan Love stays hot, he certainly got paid. So he's
I saw that
in some of these contracts, right? Yeah.
What was the most you ever made
in a season?
Yeah.
I think probably 10 or 12, something like that. But
mine was 3.
Yeah. But that was like towards the end. That was, I remember my rookie year, Steve Young was the MVP. He signed a 4-year, $12 million deal with a $3 million signing bonus, and it shook the whole NFL world. Like, the MVP just got 4 years, $12 million, and we're like, oh,
yeah,
what's going on?
What was minimum when you came up?
100,000.
Yeah, it was 14 when I came up. 14,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy?
And that's what the Chargers said. They go, here, you're an 8th round pick. Here's a $100,000 contract. You get no signing bonus. Nothing. So do you want to go to camp or not? I'm like, I'm
in.
Right. So,
All right. Well, listen, God bless.
Which obviously at that time was a great.
Okay. So
good seeing you.
I'm going to give a message from the Hall of Fame. When I was,
please.
Jimmy Leland goes in to the Hall of Fame. Great guy.
Yeah.
And he asked his wife. Now, I'm going to just make a joke about this. He asked his wife, honey, in your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine that I'd be in the Hall of Fame? And you know what she said? You're not in my wildest dreams. So in your wildest dreams, when you told your wife, honey, in your wildest dreams, did you ever think that I was going to be making $100,000 and be a quarterback in the NFL? She would have said to you, Trent, you're not in my wildest dreams. That's
very good. All right, boys. Maybe we'll see you next week.
Let's do
Golf Underground from the stable. See you then.